Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome. Welcome to the Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. And I am excited to introduce our guest today. Her name is Nicola Light. Nicola, shifting deeper into her understanding, has risen out of her old into her new and is fulfilling her mission upon the planet. Nicola is an international healer, a spiritual mentor, a creator of online courses, and shares her knowledge and her understanding on YouTube channel, Nicola Light. So, with that said, I just want to welcome Nicola. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much for such a wonderful welcome and inviting me on your channel. It's an absolute privilege to be here. Hmm.
It's an absolute privilege to have you. And oh, goodness, there's so much to talk about and so much to share. And, I believe that the first thing I really want to ask you is just have a beautiful gift. And for those who have never seen your YouTube channel, Nicola Light, that beautiful gift allows people to be embraced and surrounded by this beautiful love that you share through the language of light, through the
Mm.
quantum codes, through the light codes. And so, by your definition, share with us how you would explain your gift, because I know some people, they have their explanations. I have mine,
Yeah.
you know, but share with us your thoughts around your gift and what it.
Mm. Wow. I mean, I always explain it to people that I work with if they've ignited their light codes or would wish to ignite their light codes, is that it feels like you won the lottery
Yes.
because it's such an extreme gift from the divine to awaken it within you. And the only thing that would push it back is a sense of fear within to truly express your true, authentic self, which is your soul speaking. And the soul speaks through you with different pulses of energy. And so the language of light to me is this divine essence shining itself through. And with all of that, it just emanates love because as it comes through you, it filters through your heart. So there's that sense of safety within inside of yourself that whatever's coming through with the intention of your mind will then manifest outwardly. And so the codes to me have three different types of understandings to myself. There's clearing codes that release blocks within. So they
Mhm.
allow you to let go of the old structure, the old vibrations, the old you, the blocks, all of that sort of energy. There's activation codes, which will bring you into the new upgraded self so that you can evolve into the next layer of self. And then there's the remembrance codes, which are codes as you evolve through the tube, as you bring your own codes in, first of all, you allow yourself to peel back those layers of distortion within, looking at the deep shadow work within. You activate yourself into the remembrance codes. And these codes are igniting your inner light wisdom. So you start to come online with, and it's very much like a computer system, you come online literally with an ignition of light within of saying, how did I know that? What, how this sort of wisdom starts to grow and you start to master and remember who you are, which is the question that we all ask ourselves, isn't it? Why am I here? Who am I? Where am I from?
Mhm.
And so the codes, when you ignite them for yourself, they they do as I just said. They clear you, they activate you, they allow you to remember. Now, I don't know about anybody out there. If there is anything that you do not understand, it is coming from a mind process. But as soon as you start to filter down into heart, so you've got that beautiful coherence, then when the codes come forward, if you see any fear, if you see any anger, if you see anything within you, that prevents you from accepting your own light expression, then just let it flow through you. You know, there is a block within many people that might have been through ancestral or perceived ideas of past lives that would block you from expressing your truth. And that's what I see in many, many people. If they don't understand it from mind, just allow and be open to that process of just being open to maybe hearing it or accepting it inside of yourself. So it's a beautiful gift. It is a beautiful gift.
And it's really important that you're sharing this way because there are many people across this earth that speak the language of light,
Yeah.
including myself. And what I've come across is that as we speak, fear, the fear that people have is what blocks it. The consciousness of thinking, oh, what are people going to think about me because I'm speaking?
Yeah.
Or I should rather say the self-consciousness where the ego engages. And then
Hmm.
what happens is that the gift that it actually does, as it's coming through, that it's being pushed back down. And then the remembrance and the initiation that it gives you just by speaking is
Yeah.
pushed back down and,
Mm.
and shoved down and not acknowledged.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are different frequencies of these light codes. And let's talk a little bit about that too, in the respect that I find that when the language comes up and I meet someone and they're at a different frequency, I can adjust my frequency to make sure that we're meeting at the same, uh, uh, how would I say, quantum field.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to share your thoughts on that a little bit?
Yeah. I love the way that you've actually sort of like you know, sort of place that in people's sort of visioning, is that we all are at different frequencies of light of remembrance. It doesn't
Yes.
make one person better than the other. It just means we're different frequencies, and that's okay. And the acceptance of that is really very important for us to understand, is that no
Mhm.
one is better than you. There is no guru. You know, if somebody's stepping into their mastery, it's just like looking at somebody from an infant school to somebody in university. It just means
Mhm.
that they're a footstep or two in front of you. It doesn't make anyone any better.
Right.
Um, but it's the frequencies what sort of comes in is the availability to connect to different levels and vibrations of consciousness. And within all that is, shall we say, oneness, it holds different fractals of consciousness that enables us to tap into that level of energy, that vibration that we can draw inside of ourselves with our breath. So we breathe the light into ourselves, and then we can then adjust our frequency to what is needed if we are giving codes. So if we're giving codes to somebody, we're giving from a filled up cup, or else the codes would be for ourselves. So if we're
Right.
actually working with somebody and giving codes, the person on the other end needs to receive the codes and be very conscious of the fact, because we can give code, but if somebody's not in resonance to receive, they will not receive.
Right.
Many times that I actually work with people, I go to higher mind, I go to the higher realms of understanding, and I have to get permission to come into clear and to activate. I can't just give it. It has to come from a higher realm of understanding that, yes, you get permission. And sometimes I actually get access denied, and then I have to go deeper with key codes to assist, because there might be something deeper within them that we need to work through. So the vibrations that come forward will also come from different realms and dimensions, with different consciousnesses of other beings, of different galactic vibrations. So Pleiades to me, the Palladium vibration, that is me.
Hmm.
So I don't see anything outside of myself to invite in. I am the Palladian light being, because I am all that is. And so I bring her in, and she assists me with the vibrations of emotional states. So the vibration that comes forward is more of a softer, nurturing vibration, that helps clear energy, lower vibrations through the lower chakra system. And then I
Mhm.
have an Arcturian being that I work with, which again is myself in a different reality, as we're multi-dimensional dimensional beings, which is another subject in itself. And then that energy is about upgrading the templates, meaning the structure of the embodied state, the Merkaba system. So they're very technical sort of vibration. And then you have an angelic self that you activate your own angelic within. And then you have different realms of understanding. So we could go on and speak about that all day. But the vibration that you connect to is when you're actually working with somebody, is to actually tap into their energy in that. So you do not siphon or hook into their system, you just align, because I am them, I am you. And then through me, I see, and then I bring forward the codes that they receive and embody inside themselves. And then eventually what happens is that people start to wake up, ignite within them their own codes. And once you do that, then you can then code yourself through that vibration influx of intelligence that comes in. And then you then start to then express your own code. You start to clear, and we go back to full circle. What we just spoke about is, the clearing code, the activation code, code into remembrance. And so everybody can do this. It's just whether you want to receive it or not. So yeah, it's so profound. It's so mind-boggling to the mind, because
It
it's
is.
beyond what we're taught.
For our audience, I want to be able to deep dive a little bit into some of the things that you said, because I think it's
Mm.
important that they understand how we're traversing in our understanding of the universe. And this is my take on it, because I have that mathematics background and that math major kind of thing. And when I keyed into the fractalization of the universe, and the fact that there are parts of the universe that just repeat. And when we repeat at different dimensions. But what we're doing is we're recreating self. Just like we are, as human beings, are fractalizations. We're all the same, but we're all different. We're different aspects of ourselves. And we're repeating as human beings, repeating, and that fractalization is called birth. Okay. So as we go out in the birth of planets, the birth of stars, the birth of the universe, the birth of orbits, the birth of galaxies, these are all beautiful fractalizations. And then when we look at its entirety, there are depth to moving through these fractalizations of the universe. And in that depth are different dimensions. And in those different dimensions are different beings. And in those different beings are different representation of languages, representation of energies, representation of all that is.
Mm.
And when we traverse that Merkaba within that says that there are no limits, there are no boundaries, and that even though I might be a pebble or a piece of sand in the grain of a beach, that I get to traverse and navigate through all that is, to be able to access codes, to be able to access wisdom, information that I can bring back, and I can help at the frequency by which I'm working with a particular individual. And I just think that it's so important. And then the beauty of this is that I'd love to talk a little bit about how the higher self and the subconscious automatically comprehends what we're saying, that we don't have to explain that which is coming through us. Because a lot of people will say, "Oh my goodness, you just spoke and it feels so comforting. It just feels
Mhm.
so right. I feel like I understand, but I don't understand." It's not about the understanding with the ego. So, will you talk to us a little bit about that too?
Yeah, yeah. It's quite a it's it in the very beginning of our journey, there are what I would call stepping stones of understanding. So as
Hmm.
we move through from our beginnings, shall we say, the opening up or the awakening or the ascension journey, whatever words we want to use, there are different perspectives of where we can see things. So in the very beginning, we're very much in our ego mind, where we've been programmed into who am I? So our family, friends, media, schooling systems, cultural areas of where we've been brought up. So that's the ego. And then as we rise into and open up our hearts, we start to go into what you, like you just said, is the higher mind. And it's the all-knowing, because she or he is sitting, or you perceive to be she or he, is sitting above and can see everything. So when you're at the bottom of a mountain, say, you're at the bottom of the mountain, all you can see is what's in front of you. As
Right.
you walk up the hill, you look down and you say, oh, I see what's to the west, to the east, to the north and the south, and all around me. I have a greater understanding of where that is. And say if there was a maze going up that mountain, you'd be like, turn left. Oh, go over that little hurdle there, over the bridge, and then up. And then so I'm navigating the ego me coming up the mountain. So
Yes.
I would say, this is the way that you need to go. But the ego mind will step into an emotional state and say, oh no, I don't want to go over that field over there because it looks a little bit boggy and I've not got my Wellington boots on.
Exactly.
And so
Hmm.
you make these excuses. And I says like, she's turned in the wrong direction. She should have gone over there. It'd have been so much easier. She would have gone up that way. She'd gone over that little fence there and she would have been up in no time. But no,
Hmm.
she's decided to turn the opposite direction. Okay, right, let's navigate her from here then. What's the best option? There we go. There's the best option. And then there's little Nicola walking up the hill and they're like, oh, actually, I could have gone that way, but that's not available anymore. I'm going to go this way. So what the higher self does is it navigates us to an easier option. But do we let our minds get in the way? Yes, we do. Because what we need to do is to see who we are not. We need to see the program that's sat in our minds, the
Hmm.
mind control of saying that you are not able to be self-sufficient, to, to follow what mother did, be being the mother and nurturing mother and not actually having a career. All of this programming, we've got to see that we are capable of being this amazing, beautiful, expansive energy, this
Yeah.
beautiful movement into our freedom, our authentic self. Now, if you'd have seen me 10 years ago, I would not have even come on to this call. So the expansiveness of who we are is covered up by a sense of programming and belief. So we let go of that vibration, which is the block within, to see the way. But the higher self knows, because she's already there. She will guide you through the journey of it. So in my mind, that's my perception of higher self. Different people have different versions, and every single truth is the truth from that individual person's perspective. So whatever it is to you, it is a guiding star, shall we say.
Yes, yes. This is so beautiful. And what I want to do is I'm going to switch gears on you just a little bit because we have the gift, we express the gift, we engage others with the gift. And many people are like, well, how did your gift come online? When did you first recognize it? What is your story about how you came to fruition with your gift? I could tell you
Oh.
my story. I would love to hear yours.
Honestly, it's so surreal. Excuse me, a bit of throat
No
shock
worries.
there.
No
Maybe
worries.
some codes want to come forward. It normally happens like that for me.
Okay.
So in the very beginning, there was a life trauma, shall we say, that took me through a very suicidal moment in my life where I really didn't want to be here. I questioned everything. I had the most beautiful lifestyle. I had it. I had everything. And this sort of awakening journey sort of happened. I started meditation, and then I went and visited a beautiful lady to do a Reiki course. When
Uh-huh.
I turned up, I actually didn't even know what Reiki was. I just knew I had to do it. I was like, what am I doing here? anyway, so I did the 1 and 2, and I really loved it. And I was emotional when I had the attunement, which is
Mhm.
actually, if we actually all know about Reiki, is that they say the chakra is actually a light code. So the awakening codes were brought into my awareness. I opened up my energy into the awareness. So not opening it up totally, but it just started the ignition. And then I was doing some practice with my ex-partner at home, and I was doing some Reiki on him, and then my hands started moving. So my expression of light started through my hands. And
Mm.
it literally felt that this hand wasn't my hand for some reason. And I was like, this is very, very bizarre. What's going on? This hand started, and then when I'd finished, I thought, this felt fine. So I really didn't understand it, but I just thought it felt good. So I thought, if it felt good, then it must be good, because I'm bringing it through my heart center. Then the next time I did it, this hand started as well, and it was very much sort of floaty floaty above the body. And then about 6 weeks, I say 6 weeks afterwards, luckily my ex had gone on a business trip, and and I sat bolt upright in bed, probably about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and then this beacon was coming through me. It just started, and I just sat up, and I was like, "That's weird. What's that all about?" So that's how it began. It just spontaneously sort of erupted within me, and I had not a clue. I hadn't no idea what I was doing. So I started seeking, and that's when I then started to understand through others about what it was that I was doing. And then through the journey, just to finish off this particular point, is that through the journey, every time I used to run the children to school, so I used to have to take them in the car, and it was a little bit of a journey. But on the way back, after I dropped them off, all the way back, I spoke light language. But I was started speaking in the car, all these different light language, and I was like, oh, that's a different one. Oh, that's a different one.
Yes.
So I was really intrigued. I thought, oh, so by the time I got to the bottom of my driveway to open up the gate, I
Yes.
spoke it in English. And when I spoke it in English, I had a deep realization of everything that those codes were bringing forward was saying exactly the same thing, but in different vibrations. And
Mhm.
so I was like, whoa, that's interesting. So it got me in, and it made me sort of feel like intriguing. It was like, oh, so the hands go, now I speak it. What else happens now? So then I started sort of just popping in my mind, oh, okay, this is happening now. That's interesting. What else is there? So I kept sort of going and going and going. And then to where I am today with a real sort of sense of, and I'm going to use the word mastery of it. I'm still feeling I'm pushing through my understanding of it, but I'm like, whoa, I have a firm foundation and love and passion for codes. It's just
Yeah.
who I am, you know.
Yeah. And I love the fact that you wanted to master it and that you wanted to go
Mm,
deeper and that you took it as deep as possible in terms of the reaches, because what happens is that we get gifts and then we get sidetracked with life. And then, maybe a few projections here or there that kind of halts us in terms of our practice. But
mm,
you've
mm,
really
mm.
that mastery. And I'm going to default to you because you did like cough a little bit, and I wanted to leave the floor open to if you did want to connect with me or connect with the universe or connect with just humankind, what you might feel could be coming through right now, and just
Mm,
allow.
mm. As you can see, this sort of happens, which sort of gets, it's almost like a what happens is we start to prepare in the face, because the energy comes through, and then it starts to sort of move the face about a bit. So we might start to move the neck a little bit. So if anybody has started getting little sort of tweaks and twerks and shakes at all, then it could be a sign that you're starting to come online, or, you know, activate. Also, the fingers might start to want to move. So I'll set my intention to bring forward the most beautiful code in this now moment to allow us to sort of step into the connection with it. So you do want to receive it by breathing the codes in, or if you feel that you want to just observe, then just step back from the code. So don't worry that the codes are going to do any harm for yourself. So settle the ego, and then just settle into the heart space to receive. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to do a combination of hand movements, which are beautiful sort of signals of ignition and remembrance. So you may want to close your eyes. You may want to see the codes come forward, and I'm going to bring forward speech as well. Yeah. The breathing in the light. Just tuning in to the higher frequency. Kui is bakai itukane e taa. An o kai ush u tuku dikiti ina ala isya. Man a su kui a kai te ina a man a su ka atukai ishu u van ishta. En an o la ki tuku ish an ai e tuku ite e ala es kutuku o la isyana man o siama. So just settle the mind into heart. Alea kui ishukai tuna onoma anava sha'a yukai ishana. Then anova la shukutu unomasu ishana edana. For when we both bring forward the codes of light, we are always protected through the journey of the expression. So they're showing me like a beautiful light, beautiful sort of vortex of light. Thank you. A vortex of light that is coming in to almost sort of crown you, to activate this beautiful halo that we have that is within our energetic field. And as it sort of brightens up, we get that beautiful anointment from the universe. It shows a sense of divinity, of the divine spark, and from an outward projection. If we could imagine our energy field, we have this sort of beautiful alignment to consciousness, higher realms of understanding, and it activates and amplifies within us. And these codes are sort of bringing forward this sense of connection to the upper body heart connection, to this halo effect above our heads that sort of brings in and magnetizes all that you are. And as it amplifies like a transmitter, it comes into the energy field, and we fill up our cup, and we allow it to move through the central body, through the central column of light, which is that inner main central column. And then we allow it to link in and into the full embodied state, into the base, into that beautiful base. And then we allow it to go through into the body. Look beyond the eyes. So we open into the insight of mind. So we are allowing it to start to come forward. And if we hold fear within, that is held within the lower body, open up the heart so it dissolves the fear of receiving. And see within you any responses. Maybe behind the closed eyes, you might get a little bit of a flutter, or the hands might want to start to move a little. And we observe as that inside looking outward of the body expressing itself. And then we learn through the journey of the experience of receiving code. And then just let that settle. And you might want to wiggle the body through just to really link it in. Yeah. So it's blessings from the universe. Thank you.
Oh, that was so beautiful. It's just like this expression of gratitude
Yeah.
in receiving. And the other thing that is just coming through is that these are not just light codes, they're ancient codes. This has been done throughout time.
Yes.
And for those who are remembering, like yourself, and representing this, we have such gratitude and are so grateful that you're bringing this beautiful ancient tradition and thoughtfulness and knowledge forward to the here and now, because it's so needed, so needed. And for those who are drawn to it, this is their road, this is their pathway.
Mm.
There are many roads to the one.
Absolutely. I love that what you just said there. There are many roads to the one. There'll be people that will be there that will just want to receive an activation code here and there and go about their day, and it's wonderful. And there'll be others that will want to go into the depth of their codes because they're code givers. And it was sort of presented to me with my understanding of my mind is that it almost sort of feels that we have a sense of an amount of people we need to reach, a quota, shall we say. So say we
Yeah.
said we want to reach, say, 10 people, just say it's a 10 rounded figure. And when we've actually reached those 10 people, they will start to activate within themselves their own remembrance codes. And then they ripple out to their 10 people and they ripple out to their 10 people. So this is where we start to shift this reality with the vibration that is held within the collective, because we seed the codes in through our bodies. Not only are we clearing and cleansing our own energetic field, we're also clearing in the energy of Gaia, of working what I would call the grid, so walking the land, bringing in wonderful codes into Gaia and her meridian lines and her chakra systems. It's like my cup from Glastonbury, which is the heart chakra of which I love going to up the tour, which is this here, a new windy road, which was my analogy that I brought in earlier. But it's knowing that the codes aren't just always for you or another in a practice. Is codes are brought forward by many people, even just by being present and not expressing it through the hands or the voice. Codes come through in energy. And as
Yes.
you activate yourself into high frequency of light, wherever you go, you seed your light. And so just being present in a space and feeling, why do I need to go here? You're guided to that intuitively, and you're there for a reason, because we are light workers, we're grid workers, we go to these spaces. So even if you feel that you don't want to activate codes, is because it's not maybe a pathway in this now moment. It may be something that may need to be within your awareness, but we all hold light frequencies within. If they're expressed through our energetic field, so be it. But if they come through our sensory perceptions, our voice, our hands, our body movements, our singing, our toning, facial expressions, our toes wiggling, they're
Yeah.
all coding, they're all bringing forward for the body to awaken and to remember and to activate, ultimately to shift the DNA, this deep cellular structure of the full embodied state. So it goes on many different variants with this particular subject. It's fascinating.
It really is. And for those people who have those science minds, go to cymatics. It actually shows. So when the frequency activates, it actually keeps it, it actually encapsulates a geometric structure. And that geometric structure is actually the code, it is the sacred geometries. And so as we're able to visualize it with sand in cymatics, when we hear the frequency, well, the same thing is taking place within the light codes. And within the light codes are the sacred geometries. And within the sacred geometries, because we are energy beings, we can receive it at a level and a dimension that isn't typical of like me handing you a piece of paper and you receiving it. It's beyond the five senses of see, touch, taste, smell, hear. And then, when we look at the vertical, it's that sacred space of where you pray. See, you go to it when you pray, you go to it when you're talking to your higher self or listening to that inner voice. right? And we exit that in the gateway of hearts when we come and then we start doing external things, right?
Mm.
So when we're going inside to our hearts, to that sacred space, we are actually accessing our own beautiful light being and lightness within. And I love the way that you talked about how when we embody and we receive, and that halo, you talked about that halo. And I just want to bring it back to people who, are those book readers and whatnot. Every sacred painting that we see in the past, whether it's from Egypt all the way throughout the Bible, what do they have but that halo or a
Yeah,
representation of something coming around the person's head? And
yeah,
again, that is the light body. That is the expression of us in our energetic form through the physical, and
yeah,
acknowledging the fact that we're capable of receiving at such a beautiful and higher level space. And
yeah,
I just want to make sure that our audience is level set in understanding that what we are is so huge. And when we talk about as above, so below, and we look up above and we see the universe, that so below is the fact that the universe is within us. And we get to traverse it by going inwards and then expanding outwards within our own universe. And we see like little movies like Men in Black, and they talk about the little tiny, 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 tiny pendant. But if you look in that tiny pendant, it's the complete expression of the universe, the fractalization of what is above within. And, as we traverse this, as we embrace those codes, and as that wisdom comes through, I'd love for you to express, and I know that I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. Tapping into the knowledge flow, because there's like this river and flow throughout universe. I would say like how tributaries and streams of water, of the water body here on the physical earth plane, right?
mm,
We have water all throughout the land. And we call it like the earth's life's blood. Water is the earth's life's blood. But we also have that in the fractalization of the expansion of the universe, bodies of knowledge that we can tap into, bodies of light codes that we can tap into, bodies of dimensions that hold different light codes, that hold different tributaries of information and wealth and knowledge that we can tap into. You talk a little bit about
so the it's so interesting to me with this sort of sense of knowledge and wisdom.
that?
Knowledge comes from other people's perspectives of knowing. So they might write a book because they have a knowing of a subject that might come up, maybe through other people's knowledge, and then they enhance that, they widen it because they've gone a little bit deeper in it. And so then we might read a book, we might watch this particular YouTube channel, this, they're like, oh, okay. But it's always somebody else's theory behind it because it's written. It's
Hmm.
a stopgap in time of where are we at with knowing from the ego perspective. It's wanting to know, it's searching through the mind, through, like you say, physicality, five senses. But
Yeah.
as we sort of move into that wisdom sense of being, we start to open up to the next level of knowledge through a cap of system. We pierce through the veil of remembrance, and you sort of move through and you're like, oh, what's up here then? We know all of this here. But what my higher self always shows me is, okay, we need a point of reference. And the universe does it so beautifully with referencing um, to us with analogy or a vision or something that we could say that we know through our own experience as a point of reference, because otherwise it's very difficult for the universe to show us something beyond thought or beyond our perception of reality. So through my own journey, I'm probably going a little bit different to what you've actually asked as the question, because I'm being sort of guided through the journey of it, is that I didn't read books. I didn't have any knowledge of anything. I learned through my experience. So as I said, as the hands started moving, as my body started to breathe itself, I then thought, well, what's going on here? So I then researched after the experience. And this is
Mm,
what's so beautiful, is what we can do is surrender to the experience so that we can then open up into the knowledge of a perception of a reference point, so that we have a settlement within our mind to understand us being open to receive, rather than searching. I want to experience it. We're going experience it and then unpack it and then
right.
walk forward. That's the rise of ego. But many of us are switched on with mind, with research, searching, that we don't internalize and go, okay, enough of searching sponge mode, which I did in the beginning of my journey. I was like, what's this? What's this thing? What am I doing here? What about it? Questions. If you have a question within your mind, it's because you hold an answer within. It's as simple as that. So if I have a question keep going around and around in my mind, is to actually then go inside. Your answer's in here.
Yes.
Yeah. So as we sort of transverse the universe and we move into beyond our greater knowing, we start to remember, especially with our codes that we can bring online, through the experience of going deeper, internalizing, and then we move into the next level of inner standing. And then we then understand with the mind to settle the ego. So the ego becomes comfortable with what it is that we're exposing the ego to, because the ego says, is it safe? Is it all right? Can I accept this? But if we expose it a little, just a little, to open up and to amplify this energetic field of allowance to receive, then the ego goes, oh, okay, I've experienced that before, and that's okay. All right, it'll be okay for me to receive that information. And then there's the evolution of the soul's journey as we start to move on up, where it is the ego rising. We don't let the ego go. The ego keeps us safe. The ego keeps us embodied.
Yes.
But we upgrade the ego through the expansion of the higher self, and we let the ego become comfortable with acceptance to receive. I hope that answers the question. I think I
I love the way you explained it. I absolutely loved it because what you just explained, and I want to talk about the importance of what you just explained, is how the masters did that. Okay,
yes.
they looked at other people's work and they had this understanding of other people's works, but really what they eventually did was surrender the fact that they're stuck at other people's work, and they really wanted to bring in their own knowing, their own knowledge. And in doing so, they tapped into their meditations and then might have gone in with the questions, but looked for their own answers in terms of searching within in order to tap into that knowledge. We're talking about regular history. We're talking about Plato, Aristotle, the Pythagoreans. We're talking about the Walter Russells of the world, of physicists. And and so all of the knowledge that they tapped into, the only thing that and I don't want to use sad, but I'm going to actually use the word sad, is that a lot of times we tap into the higher realms and we come back with the answers, and then we can't share it with anyone because everyone around us isn't ready for it. We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there. It's the beauty of this is that we can go as deep as we choose to be at peace with ourselves. And I love the word that you used. You used surrendered. We
Mm,
surrendered to it. We, said, ego, step aside. Let me surrender to the experience. You didn't say analyze the experience. You didn't say take the experience apart and figure out why and how and what and who and when. No, we surrender to the experience.
mm,
We embody the experience, and we allow that experience to guide us to our next step, our next leap of orbit,
mm.
our next octave.
Yes.
And that when you get to embrace and keep taking that leap of octave and leap forward and embodying it and just allowing it to be, that's how we get to the depths of wisdom and understanding that we truly want to bring forward.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That isn't it? I think just
Yeah.
that just is so beautiful just to have one moment just to contemplate on that, you know,
Yeah.
is that is that the beautiful things outside of ourselves give us an experience for the mind, which is wonderful. But the experiences as you go inside of yourself takes you back into the inner standing of that you are divine, that
Yes.
you are this beautiful resonance of energy that is the purest of light. And with all of that, then you then see the shadows and you go, oh, well, if this is who I truly am, and this is where I'm at, and this feels so good, and it feels so wondrous, and it's like,
Ah,
wow,
an overflow. It's
that
an overflow.
everything, yeah, everything of all of those old stories really don't serve me. And
No.
the past of trauma, and I'm not belittling trauma or stories because I've had my fair share, is that it really doesn't make any sense for me to hold on to it any longer.
Right.
It gives us freedom to move forward into the expansion, into the understanding for the mind to see we are so much more. And there's nothing through time space that's going to hold me back because I'm not allowing to it. And I'm deconstructing and I'm dismantling and I'm unhooking from the old me. So I rise, I rise, I rise into
Right.
who I truly am. And that inspiration, that beautiful ignition just settles the mind into, I love that. I'm going with that. I'm flowing with it. And it changes the perspective on life, doesn't it?
It really does. There
Yeah.
are no limits. I can set aside certain
Mm.
aspects of the human condition. I don't have to relive the same stories over and over and over again. That I am capable of just putting those human conditions down
Yeah.
because we all experience and we all have traumas and everything, but I don't have to stay stuck in the story of it,
Yeah.
constantly going that I can't live, I can't breathe, I can't move forward, I can't this, I can't that. Get let go of I can't, and here's what I choose.
Yeah.
Here's where I dwell.
Mm.
Here's where I am.
Mm. And I think the thing is for your listeners listening to us today, you could perceive it to be, well, it's all right for them. Right? Oh, they're all in their face.
Yeah.
What about trust us? We have been in that position of where
Yes.
you are at with our own past experiences, coming from those moments of self-destruction and and action that we've taken that we would say, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that." But it was perfect. It was everything that we do, that we have done is perfect. It gets us to the place where we need to be without judgment within ourselves, with whatever anybody else has done to you or you have done to anyone else. It's about that forgiveness within, is that it was okay, it's all right, and that we can then rise through the journey of it. If we take ourselves back into a cycle and a pattern within it with our behavior, then I would question, just
Right.
like doing that again. And it's and it's having that sense of forgiveness within ourselves for taking part within the experience with another. Maybe we said a word that might have been very hurtful, or we might have taken an action, or we might have perceived it to be that they was doing it to us. Is that, and there are varying degrees, and trust me, I understand that, but it's the movement for us to move forward is we must see the light and focus upon that journey. And it's not about forgetting, it's about releasing that
Yes.
past, you know.
Yes. Well stated. So we're coming up on an hour, and I would love for people. Actually, we. I don't want to let you go. Don't want to let you go. Oh, I love this conversation. and I have chills right now. It's just been so beautiful, so,
Mm,
so beautiful.
mm.
Um, I would love for you to share a little bit about your YouTube channel so that people can encapsulate what it is you bring and so that they can understand how beautiful and what it is that you're sharing on your YouTube channel and then how they can reach you.
Oh, okay. Yes, will do. It's interesting actually, before I actually do speak about it, is that I remember years and years ago when I was still at home and I was sort of in this sort of, this position of a bit, whoa, who am I?
Yeah.
I had a voice in my head come through and she said, "You're going to have a YouTube channel." I said, "Yeah, right." I didn't even like somebody taking my photo. I was like, "Well, how's that going to happen then?" I don't think so. But then over the next couple of weeks, I then actually then put in a YouTube channel and I started making some content. But in the very beginning, I was sort of recording my dog and speaking behind the camera. And then as it sort of evolved throughout the years, I was using the channel to speak to myself to remember. And I think sort of like when you actually sort of listen to what it is that I actually bring forward, it is about my inner light remembrance coming online. Um, and it's quite funny because within the channel it holds so many different types of information, shall we say. It comes in from offering light code, so that's a sort of a one sort of type of video that I would create. So if there are some codes to work through myself, I might then bring forward my own codes, and then people can then piggyback on my codes and receive the codes through that journey. There are other sort of times of activation codes, but the bulk of it that is actually transforming as I'm sort of presenting is coming through remembrance codes. So what I present with my whiteboard, which I've got to the side here with my pen, is I ask a question and then I then bring forward code. And within those codes, I start to remember what it is. And then I bring in an analogy or a beautiful stick person um, picture, which is when you go to my channel, it's Nicola Light, you'll see me drawing ridiculous. No, they're not. They're beautiful.
They're
um,
beautiful. They're not ridiculous, they're beautiful.
but I have fun with it, and I think that that's sort of spirituality and giving information from my perspective can be very serious, very serious. But that's not what I'm about. So, I bring a bit of humor into it, and make a bit of fun within it. But I get to the end of the video giving a sense of wisdom within about the question that I asked myself. So there is a lot of information on there. There's a lot of wisdom that comes forward. There's a lot of nurture that goes on with my channel that, it's like, it's okay, and being authentic and stepping up and saying, well, today I did this and it really it backfired on itself. And so you'll find me being, and I'm going to say it, and it's not coming from spiritual ego, you'll find me authentic. You'll find me having a bit of sense of humor about the whole subject. You'll find me in moments where you'll see me absolutely breaking down crying. You'll see also fairy orbs move over my in the background. I get orbs coming lots of times, so there's sometimes things that happen there. And the other thing which I love doing also is opened eye transmissions. I don't know if you do them,
Ah, open eye
but
transmissions.
that
Will
you
you
stare into the so you might get some of
explain
that.
your eyes?
You're just literally looking. And then you start to break down. If you look past me during those particular types of videos, you'll start to see a slight transfiguration. And what transfiguration is that you start to break down the matrix and you start to see a bleed through of
Ah,
different levels of consciousness coming through the camera. It's so
beautiful.
cool.
Beau
So yeah, my YouTube channel holds so much information. I've got so many videos on there. So just have a look at the progression, because you'll see throughout the years how I've shifted and changed. So you can see the progress from say 5 years ago when I was talking about back pain, but I hold the same information that comes forward, but in an upgraded version of what it was when I did it 5 years ago. So
right.
you'll see the progression of the ignition of my wisdom within, which within my mind is priceless. It's not
Yeah.
other people's information, it's my presentation of my truth within that now moment. And sometimes morphs and it changes,
Uh-huh.
and that's okay, because there are many truths within our reality, and where we're at is where we're at, and that is that. There's no judgment within it. We just observe what it is that I present, and my offerings are always given from my heart, and I learn so much by just talking to myself, basically. just
Just
rabbiting
wanted
on.
that
and so and I learn, and I must say, it has been a beautiful healing journey on camera through,
too.
through the whole. So that's my channel. And then I have a website. Actually, I'm upgrading my website at the moment, but I still have the scheduling system, and my old website's still there, but it's nicolalight.com, so nice and easy. I'm on Facebook as well, and I sometimes come forward. You might see me as doing little shorts of like codes, where I sit there and just do some hand movements. So yeah, you'll just sort of, if the universe has brought me to you, there is a reason.
Always.
Synchronicities, and even how we met,
Yeah.
and as soon as we
Yeah.
had that conversation, I was like, no. So yeah, so that's me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel so blessed, and
Mm.
bring to the world. It's so beautiful. We thank you. We are in deep gratitude
Oh, thank
because
you.
you are that lighthouse, that beacon of light, shining beautifully. And as we all find one another and amplify that which is, it makes it even that much more beautiful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It's beautiful to sort of share our remembrance together as we align with our beautiful brothers and sisters of light, and it's a big feeling of remembrance as we, as we reconnect. We've
Yeah,
been so much in separation that we come together as a collective field of consciousness through connecting our hearts together, and it is so wonderful, and the universe and our higher selves bring us to this video. If you've been brought here and you're here to the very end of the video, there's a reason behind it.
that's
It's that
right.
wonderful message for you, and the universe brings us so many gifts, and it's about seeing the gift so that we can
Exactly.
then bring that in and like thank the universe. And sometimes these lessons are really sticky to hold.
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
why did that come in? It's because it to show you who you are not. If it invokes an emotion, then see the emotion that's trapped within your body and allow it to flow through you, because you are the light. There's one thing that I do want to share actually before we do go, is that something
Uh-huh.
sort of throughout the years is a little inner mantra that I bring on my YouTube channel quite a lot actually, which is I am the light I am. That
Mm.
was actually given to me by a presentation from an outward source, which is through Matt Kahn, which is a beautiful soul that channels the divine light. And that came to me when I was in a really, really low ebb, and it
Hmm.
and it saved me. So I would never say that was my words, but it was through Matt Kahn that brought that. So I am the light I am. And then through a couple of years later, it was in my mind, in my body, and in my soul. So it's I am the light I am in my mind, body, and soul. Alagianta an subakuram e san ekwan asian a, kram mangrabes makyun subosh makitan ashen a, an san e tun oran an so asin ide e, o moran bakran eshan an samekin isin e, agriatana an. So it's the inner words that we speak also need to look at here, so we can bring forward codes, but do we have the underlying energy of the program of the mind, the words we speak to ourselves? Something to think about for your listeners as we leave this video today. But it's, if you're repeating words of self-doubt, the words I've used and I will give beautifully and freely to you is I am the light I am. And it has shifted and changed my subconscious mind. And it's enabling me to really anchor into the light to move forward from my past trauma. So yeah.
Beautiful. Like I said, I didn't want this to end.
No, I know we could go on forever.
No, I know. I want to thank you so much, Nicola, for coming on, for sharing your heart, for sharing your wisdom, for sharing the light codes, the amplification of the love, the beauty, and the light that you are.
Hmm.
I have this little saying that I always default to that has to do with
Hmm.
light also. I live in the light. I laugh in the light. I love in the light. I am sustained and nurtured by the light. I am the light. I am the light. I am the light. I am that
Oh.
I am. And I don't own that one. Again, that was acquired, but it has always resonated with me, always. And as we are sharing and as we are lifting that which is all around us as well as ourselves up, what a beautiful way
Hmm.
to leave the audience.
Oh.
So thank
Thank
you,
you so
thank you,
much.
thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being here. We love you.
Thank
And again, just thank you for sharing all that you did.
My pleasure.
And if you like this episode, please subscribe. And
Yeah.
if you know that this episode is going to help somebody, please share, 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 share.
Yeah,
And
sure.
I just again want to say thank you, Nicola Light, for being with us.
My pleasure. Thank you. So everything that you do as well. It just sends out that beautiful pulse of love, and we need it, for the collective and individuals. So just know that we're all walking ourselves back home. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And this has been another episode of The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity. Thank you, everyone.